morning. It's day 94. I'm up on top of another ridge with some nice lake views out that side. There's two, I swear. I just can't see it in the camera. And then if I swing around here, you can probably just see sun. But there's also some kind of body of water back there. It's beautiful. It's about just after 6:30 a.m. I've got a couple of miles already up one hill, and I'm probably about 21 trail miles from Sierra City. Don't let the name deceive you. Sierra City is basically a church, a general store, and a motel, I think. However, apparently the burgers at that store are pretty exceptional. So today I'm trying to do close to 25 miles before 5 p.m. to get a burger. I think it's about 23 from where I camped to the junction, I guess, and then it's about a 1.5 mile side trail down to Sierra City. So that's the current plan. Try and crush some miles, all for a burger. It's not the end of the world if I don't. I have so much food. I'd actually be better off not going in. But I do have some friends who are headed southbound. And these are a lot of the people that we started with who decided to skip the Sierra, flip up to any given point north, then hike south just to avoid the snow. So we're starting to run into a few of them. I've run into Bean Dip Moonshine, two Australian girls in Truckee. Now it's 2% and Tumbleweed. They're good friends that we hiked with for quite a while, and I think they're into Sierra City today too, so it'll be good to catch up with them. Speaking of trail names, just noticing how ridiculous they sound when I say them. I've over the last couple of weeks been slowly abandoning mine. Not that I don't like my trail name being Silver, just getting over the whole trail name thing. Just kind of want to be me. It's a weird sort of, I don't know, I'm not saying other people like to change who they are or be someone different when they're on trail. I'm definitely not saying that, but I don't know, I just feel like being Leon. I don't really want some other name. So yeah, I've found myself over the last week slowly, week and a half, just introducing myself as Leon and just being me. So yeah, you'll probably see the title of these videos. I'll probably change that away from Silver back to Leon, I think, and whether other people try and give me another trail name, I don't know. But yeah, just for some reason, just want to be me. But it's day 94. I'm walking basically pain-free. Right out of the gate this morning, no ankle or foot pain. I'd love to say it was that CBD oil cream thing, but in all likelihood it was probably just a combination of the stretching, the ibuprofen at night, the elevation at night, and the compression sock helping it heal in its own time. But for now, let's say it was a CBD oil. I'm happy that I had that adventure. That was fun. It was hilarious. Just because Australia's quite far behind on the whole medicinal marijuana, cannabis, and other byproducts of the plant, it's still only just now being maybe considered to be medically researched for use in hospitals and things. It's still illegal. We are miles behind. So in that sense. So yeah, it was just hilarious for me to be able to go through and do what felt like is an otherwise regular drug deal, but apparently legal. It's just, I don't know, I enjoyed it. So yeah, day 94, I am realising, getting close to that day 100. I'm nowhere near as far up trail as I would have thought I would be, but that's okay. The time to 8 miles is now, because the hiking is generally a lot easier. It's shaded a lot of the time. There's not a whole lot to stop and see and do at the moment. It's mostly in the trees, so it's just easier just to push out miles, and generally the body is ready for it, other than that foot and that itch, which seems to, I think, is mostly gone away. I believe it might actually be diet related. I've been experimenting with a few things. So anyway, I would say I'm still hiking relatively pain-free now, which means I can hopefully push out some miles. I'll leave it there for now. It's 5:45 on day 95, maybe, on the 1.6 mile road walk out of Sierra City back up to the trail, hoping to get a hitch, because after that it's 8 miles and 3,500 feet of climbing. So unfortunately slept like garbage last night. I'm going to put it down to sleeping at church. Although it may have been because I was sleeping in a church with about 25 other hikers, so that may have been a factor. But yeah, hoping for a smooth day. It's looking like some pretty rough terrain. The temperatures are definitely climbing. It's getting hot now, and I'm trying to get the hitch. No luck on the hitch, so trying to be ready for the next car. Trying to tell myself it's not an omen. If I don't get a hitch, it doesn't mean I'm gonna have a bad day. It's gonna be a slow and steady day. Just keep trying to plod along, move forward, not overdo it. I may have overdone it a little bit yesterday. Did about 24 miles, or 24 and a half, including the road walk down. Kind of went pretty hard, pretty fast, trying to get to the store in time, and I was there by 3 o'clock, and that was after I had slowed down and did take a swim, and may have met some day hikers. One of them may have been a pretty girl, and I may have slowed my pace a little bit while talking to her. So my accent may have gotten stronger. Some things never change, I guess. In the end, I did choose the beer and burger over talking to the pretty girl, though. So I guess some things really never change. But yeah, for now, hopefully I get a hitch up this hill so I can put my energy into hiking up the trail, not 1.5 miles of road, which really isn't that bad, but every little bit counts. There is Sierra City down there. That's where I stayed last night. About halfway up this climb, up and out. Quite a nice view of this valley. We walk along this ridge. See, the trail's pretty rocky. It's pretty clear there, but it's mostly been fairly rocky. And it's hot. Like it's getting hot out here these days. Kind of got this little cicadas making the same buzzing sounds back home, so it's feeling very familiar. Howdy. It's just after 6 p.m. I think it's day 95. I could be wrong. It is Monday, I know that much. It's been a fairly long day. Had that 1.6 mile road walk up to the trail this morning, of which I managed to hitch about the last 100 yards. I didn't realise I was as close to the trail as I was, and stuck my thumb out when a car came past. Got a ride, and then very quickly had to apologise profusely. I didn't realise I had covered quite as much as I had. So it's probably the shortest hitch yet, about 100 metres. And then had a wicked 3,500 foot climb over about 8 miles, which was fairly unpleasant. The temperatures are getting up. I meant to do a weather check today and in the middle of the day and see what kind of temperatures we are looking at, but I forgot. I ended up doing 20.6 trail miles. Whoa! 20.6 trail miles plus 1.6 takes me just on 22 miles, where I stopped and thought I was going to camp. But Nono and I have been sort of back and forth again. Basically, since we decided to hike our own hikes and hike separately, we've probably been around each other even more. We had about a week apart, and then we're back to traveling the same pace again now. For whatever reason, I think she's just found her speed again, or just the terrain or whatever. But anyway, so we're back and forth all day, and so she was just going to carry on, and I thought, yeah, I still feel pretty good. And it was only about 4:30, so it was a bit early to set up. So it's another 3.6 miles to the next water source that has some potential camping. So it'll take me to almost 26 miles walked and probably 25 point something actual trail miles. So quite a decent day, but I feel pretty good considering how terribly I slept last night. So hopefully a better night's sleep tonight. Leaves me with, I'm currently, well, back where I was 52 miles out from the town of Quincy. So it'll be 48 point something from where I camped tonight, which is basically two reasonable days. I'm not gonna try and get into Quincy. So tomorrow I'll do about probably 23-ish, and then the next day probably the same, and then I'll just leave a very short couple of miles in the morning and be in by breakfast. I'm not going to head into town at night because one, it just means you got to pay for accommodation. Doesn't actually afford you that much more rest. Although a shower would be nice. But the other factor is it'll be 4th of July in 2 days' time. Today's the 2nd, so it means I'll be getting into town on the evening of July 4th, which something tells me is just going to be either mayhem or very expensive or booked out or just crowded. So I think I will quite happily stay out on trail for the night and then head in early in the morning, the 5th. I hope there's no other holidays and everything's open. Yeah, and then I'll just have breakfast, resupply, do laundry, have lunch, probably try and get back out on trail on the same day. That was my plan for Truckee. Didn't quite go that way. If it doesn't happen with Quincy, it's not the end of the world. So we'll see. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh, it's past the 1,200 mile mark today, which I'm going to say is 2,000 kilometers, which is a pretty big deal to me because I'm a metric person. But unfortunately, something in my math wasn't adding up for the last while. I couldn't quite figure it out. So while I was in Truckee and had service, I did calculate what 1,200 miles actually is in kilometers, and I thought it was actually going to be over 2,000 kilometers by a little bit, but it's actually just slightly shy. So while I'm going to say I've now done 2,000 kilometers, I definitely have when you include side trails, summits of peaks, alternates around fire closures. I'm way past 2,000 kilometers now. But if PCT kilometers, I'm only about, well, it was about 1960 or something. It was about 1,200 miles. So I'm probably at about 1980 now. Not quite there, but I'm gonna say, yeah, 2,000 kilometers done. About 2,500 to go. Doesn't sound like much at all. But that's pretty much it. It's just Northern Cali seems like it's going to be hot temperatures and long days. I need to start getting up earlier, I think. I mean, I just get up with the sun, but I'm normally hiking. I mean, this morning I was hiking by about 5:30. I'm normally hiking by about 6 most mornings. But just given the way the temperatures are climbing rapidly, seems like I may want to be heading out with a headlamp in the mornings and getting a little bit more time in before that sun comes up. Maybe, we'll see how it goes. I kind of refuse to set an alarm, so for me to get up early, it means I actually have to want to get out of bed earlier. It wasn't a problem in the desert, but these days I tend to like my sleep. That's about it. I'm gonna wrap it up. 2 more days to Quincy.